Hey everyone, welcome to the brand new episode of LLM Fine Tuning for anti tracking in web browsers. In the previous session, we fine tuned an LLM for our purposes, which is to train the model for detecting trackers. Did you try it out? How were your results? Are you going to make it to the top of the leaderboard? Feel free to share your results. I'm really looking forward to see what you got. In today's session, we are going to make sure that our model is accessible from the browser and set up a server so that we can use the model for inferencing. I'm Dr. Humera, your data and AI mentor, and let me take you through the steps that we'll need to do to set up our server. Setting up a server is not as difficult as it may sound. We essentially need two things. First, where is the model that will be used for inference? That's the model that we trained last time. And if you remember, we stored it in a folder called final_model. So we need to specify the path. And the second thing is, how can we access that model? Can we get a URL through which we can access the server and the model in turn? These are the two things that we need. So let's put it in action. For this, we have a simple script. The script is called app.py and it's available from the GitHub repository, which you already have on your machine. We have created a simple Flask API that will do these two things. On one side, it will access the model, and on the other hand side, it will create a port that will allow us to access that model via that port. Running the server is very simple. All you need to do is go to your terminal and run the command python app.py. Of course, you need to be in the right folder and your virtual environment needs to be active. Before we do this, let's have a quick look on the code and see how these two steps of specifying the model and specifying the port are handled. We are now at our app.py code. So if we look at the beginning, here we have some libraries which are imported, the Flask library and the Flask_course, which is for corresponding and the communication between the front end and the back end. We also have the transformers and the torch libraries because these are the libraries that will allow the machine learning part, the inferencing part. What's important for us to know is that we are picking everything from our final model. This is where our pre-trained model, the fine-tuned model, is stored. Also, if you remember, at the same place, we also have our tokenizers stored. So for doing the inferencing, we will need our model and we'll need our tokens. The other thing which is important here to know is on which port the API will be available. So on which port this machine learning model will be accessible. And here we can see that it's the port 5000 on our local host. Again, you don't have to change anything over here. The boilerplate code runs out of the box, and if you have everything set up, if your machine is set up with the deployment environment, then running this should not be a problem. So let's now go to our terminal and run this. To execute this, you need to run the command python app.py. This will load the model, activate the tokenizer, block the port 5000 for us, and make the model accessible through the port. So here we can see that it's running on all addresses at this port 5000. And we are actually ready. So this is now waiting for our command. The command that we need to give is basically send out a URL and see what does it predict. For this, if you recall, here is a quick glance of how you can run this. You can open a new terminal window It doesn't have to be in the virtual environment. And you run this command curl -x post localhost 5000 / predict. So basically, it will take the local host's address and send the command predict. It will give it this URL, which will be detected if it's a tracking URL or not. So let's try it out. As you can see here, meanwhile, the server is constantly listening at the right port and seeing if we have received any command, if it has received any command for detection. We will now open a new window. And now we can paste that curl command. So it's the same command copied from the PowerPoint, curl -x post on the local host, and there is a URL, and then we hit enter. As soon as we hit enter, we get this result that the confidence is 94.7% that the URL that has been sent is a tracker. Let's consider another example. Let's put the same curl command, but this time instead of giving it something which is a tracking URL, let's give it some legitimate URL. Let's say we give it google.com. And we hit enter, and here it specifies that it's very sure that this is not a tracking URL. So the probability that it's a tracking URL is very low. It's 0.00322, and this leads to specify that this is not a tracker. And that's actually it for today. It's now I hand it over to you for the next steps. Try this out. As you can see here, deploying a server is very simple. All you need to do is to have these two things set up: how you access your machine learning model, and on which URL, on which address can your machine learning model be accessible to the front end. The next step that you can do is to try it out with other known trackers and non-trackers. And that's basically it for today. Do try it out, and if you face any errors, any difficulties in executing this, please feel free to reach out. In the next session, we will wind this up and we will actually build our own extension, a browser extension that will connect via this server to the machine learning model, and we will be able to do inferencing right from our browser websites. Stay tuned and see you in the next session. Bye.